right, we have one more storyteller for you in the first half of the evening. It is Kevin Gladish. Kevin, you're up.
Hey, everybody. Hands down, my favorite animal in the zoo is the lemur. I love lemurs. I love their little cute raccoon-like faces, their long striped tails that they use to swing from branch to branch through the sky. I love them despite the fact that at the age of 13, I was attacked by 3 of them through the bars of a cage at African Safari Wildlife Park in Sandusky, Ohio. African Safari was a family summer tradition. Now, the first part of the park is sort of a drive-through mini Serengeti where you can actually feed animals from the window of your car with a plastic bucket full of pellet food that you can purchase at the entrance. Zebras, giraffes, water buffalo, you name it. The second part of the park is called Safari Junction, and it's sort of a walk-through disappointment, let's face it, after what you've just been through. Signs are posted at Safari Junction that pellet food is strictly forbidden. Now, my father, on the day in question, was feeling particularly impish. My father, Norm, a brush-cut former Marine, who in his later years developed a complete disregard for any rules, kept encouraging me to bring the food into Safari Junction. He kept saying things like, "Go on, Kev, what are they going to do, throw you out?" Well, yeah, they could, I suppose, but then I looked around and realized there weren't any employees in sight. I started to wonder if anyone actually worked at Safari Junction or if the animals just ran things themselves, sort of collective. So I took the food into Safari Junction, and I went straight to an 8-foot-tall cage where my favorite primates were at play. Now, I don't know what it's like now, but at the time, the only thing keeping visitors at any distance was a single chain at knee level, attached to metal posts. My sister is getting really excited at this point, my little sister, 4 years younger. She's, Mom, is Kevin gonna feed the lemurs?" My mother, "No, he's not." "Norm, he's not allowed, the sign said no." My father, "Go on, Kev. I'll keep a lookout. If I see anyone coming, I'll whistle." So I went in. The lemur closest to me was sitting on a 4-foot perch right by the edge of the cage. And as I put the bucket next to the cage, he looked at me. And tentatively at first, he grabbed the edge of the bucket through the cage, and with his other hand began scooping pellets into his happy little face. I was ecstatic. This is the closest I had ever been to one of these creatures. He was looking me in the eye, and I could swear at the time he was smiling. The other lemurs were not so happy. Once they realized what was going on, there was a mad scramble to get up to that perch, and the next thing I knew, there were 3 lemurs grabbing at the bucket and trying to get food, and 2 more lemurs at my feet at the ground level of the cage, screeching at an impossibly high pitch at me to get the food to them. I said, okay, you can all take turns. So I pulled the bucket away and kneeled down to feed the lemurs at my feet. It was at that point that the first punches were delivered to my head. Lemurs punch hard. Before I realized what was going on, the lemur that I had originally fed, the one that had eaten his fill, my little buddy, that had me by the hair and was trying to pull me back up with one hand while punching me with the other. The other 2 lemurs were getting in on the act and punching me as well. At this point, it's chaos. I'm screaming for help and flailing around wildly. Lemurs are screeching like banshees, trying to get at me through the cage. I had managed to turn myself around, still attached to the cage by this lemur's claw. And still, there's no one around. There are no employees in sight. All I can see is my mother, frozen with horror. My little sister, laughing hysterically. And my father, the man who had instigated all of this, is filming the entire thing on his VHS camcorder. I knew at that point that I was on my own, so I yanked my head away as hard as I could, leaving a small patch of hair in the lemur's claw and a bleeding little bald patch on the top of my head. I ran to my father, grabbed the camera from him, and proceeded to rewind and tape over what would surely have been the winning entry in America's Funniest Home Videos. Now, as I said, I still love lemurs. You can't really blame them for what they did. I mean, they were hungry and they were angry. And no matter how cute and fuzzy they are, you can't really expect a wild animal to play nice and play by the rules. In the end, the lemurs were really just doing what was in their nature. And yeah, so was my dad. Thank you.
Kevin Gladys, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him.